In this demo, you'll learn how to connect Azure DevOps to dbt Cloud so you can use it as your repository. This demo features 3 platforms: dbt Cloud, the Microsoft Azure portal for Entra ID setup, and the Azure DevOps portal. Let's start in dbt Cloud. Find your company name on the left menu at the bottom. Go to Account Settings. Scroll up to Integrations and select Azure DevOps. Locate the 2 redirect URIs for dbt Cloud. You'll need both of these values for the Azure DevOps setup process. Either copy and save them, or keep this page open during the process. Now we'll go to the Microsoft Azure portal. Next, we'll register the Azure DevOps app in the Microsoft Azure portal. Go to App Registrations. Select New Registration. Fill in the name, dbt Labs Azure DevOps App. For supported account type, choose the second option, Accounts in any directory, any Microsoft Entra ID tenant, multi-tenant. It's important to select this one. Under Redirect URI, use the drop-down to select Web. Type in your redirect URI. This is the URL you use to access dbt Cloud. cloud.getdbt.com/complete/Azure_active_directory. Then click Register. Now you've set up the app. Next, go to API Permissions on the left navigation menu. Find API Permissions name. Remove the user read permission here. Select Yes, Remove. Then add a new permission and select Azure DevOps. Select the user_impersonation permission. This is the only permission available through Azure DevOps. Next, you will add another redirect URI. Go to Authentication on the left and add a URI. Use the same one as before, cloud.getdbt.com/complete/Azure_active_directory. To the end of it, add service_user. Then click Save. Next, you'll create a client secret. Go to Client Certificates and Secrets on the left navigation panel. Select Client Secrets and click New Client Secret. Give it a descriptive name, dbt Cloud Azure DevOps. We recommend extending the expiration to 24 months. Select Add. Copy this value and save it for your dbt Cloud administrator to use later in the dbt Cloud UI when integrating these platforms. Be sure you select and save the value here and not the secret ID. Next, we'll connect Azure DevOps to this app integration. Leave the Microsoft Azure portal and go to Azure DevOps. Here in Azure DevOps, create a project. We've created one already to save time. Make sure you have the Azure Service Administrator and the Azure Co-Administrator permissions in Azure DevOps and also in the Microsoft Azure portal. Next, go to the organization settings on the bottom left. Navigate to Microsoft Entra ID. If you're not already connected, you're going to click to connect. The final step is adding Microsoft Entra ID to dbt Cloud. Access dbt Cloud as an admin, find your company name on the bottom left, and select it to get to the account settings. Then, go to Integrations. Go to the Azure DevOps section, click the pencil to edit the settings. Input the Azure DevOps organization. This value is from the Azure DevOps portal. Copy the name portion from the URL as you see here. Copy and go back over to dbt Cloud and enter it in the first field. Go back to Enter ID to retrieve the client ID located in the App Registration Overview. Copy the value from there and paste it into the client ID field in dbt Cloud. Retrieve the secret ID we saved earlier and paste it here as the client secret. Copy the tenant ID from the Azure portal and paste it here. Click Save to complete the process. Your Microsoft Entra ID should now be added to your dbt Cloud account going forward. People on your team who want to develop in the dbt Cloud CLI can now choose Azure DevOps from their profiles. They can do this by selecting Personal Profile from the menu and Link Azure DevOps. We also recommend connecting a service user to make sure that Azure DevOps permissions will be used to power headless actions in dbt Cloud, such as dbt Cloud repo selection, deployment runs, or CI. That concludes this tutorial on the Azure DevOps setup. How to connect a service user to Azure DevOps. In this video, we'll go through the steps for connecting a service user to Azure DevOps. In Azure DevOps, go to Organization Settings. From the General menu, select Users, and then choose Add Users. We're going to use the application that we created in the Microsoft Azure portal as our service principal. We'll do that by typing so we can find the application name. Change the access level to Stakeholder. Add it to the project. Change Azure DevOps groups to Project Administrators. Select Add to add the service account as a user. Once it's done, you'll want to sign in to Azure DevOps as a service user. To connect dbt Cloud via that service user, go back to dbt Cloud. Go to Account Settings and select Integration. Select this button that will link to the service user. You can now use that user for headless actions with Azure DevOps.